I'm here today with both these powerhouse ladies who've actually been hitting this list year on year, and we've done numerous interviews with them over the years. So I actually want to start off with something we heard in Rahul's conversation with Tarun, kind of Harvard earlier here today. And he said that, he almost said that, I was about to say he said almost nothing's been done, but I'm pretty sure he said nothing is being done at a systemic level when it comes to really raising the bar for women inclusion in the workplace in India. I'm going to start there, particularly on the entrepreneurial context. Would you agree, Ameera, because you've been seeing the evolution the last few years, what has changed for a woman entrepreneur today in the Indian ecosystem?
Thanks, Abba, and happy to be here with Meena. I would fully agree that systemically there is nothing being done, either to promote women entrepreneurship, either from an ecosystem or from a structural basis. And honestly, whatever progress we've seen with women over these years is just purely because women are fighting their way through. And it's all the sort of tailwinds that they are bringing, it's all the energy they are bringing to the table. Is there really something structurally that's helping them move forward? I don't think so. Having said that, I think in the last 20 years, if you flip through the same magazines, you see lots of new faces. You see lots of new entrepreneurs. You see, you see Ghazal. You'll see other people who are on these chairs and on these in these magazines, which is amazing. I mean, I remember 20 years ago there were hardly 5 of us as entrepreneurs who were sort of had sort of any on any list, and today that's changed. So whatever we are doing as women is working, which is great, and we should just keep doing it and not really wait for a structural or systemic change to happen, because God alone knows when that's going to be. And honestly, the first start would be for women who are all at home and who are doing so much incredible work of taking care of families and kids. I mean, there's not even a share of the income of the family going to them. So the work that is actually happening is not even getting compensated today. So hopefully, the next 20 years, we'll sit on the same chairs and say something different. But let's hope for that.
Meena.
Thanks for inviting me, Ameera. Lovely to be here with you again. I'm going to date myself with this comment, but I started my journey of being an entrepreneur in the year 2000 with a 6-month baby in tow. A very exciting life. And I do believe that there has been a lot of transformation that has happened in the entire ecosystem. The support that is now available for everybody, male and female entrepreneurs, has changed dramatically. I mean, I can't even start talking about it. And clearly there is an increase in the number of women who are becoming entrepreneurs. Now, whether this is like Ameera rightly said, it's more out of their own volition, their own push and their own passion, it's happened rather than systemic, probably true. But there is also something which is fundamentally, which needs to change at the grassroots level for this to become normalized. Even now we talk about women entrepreneurs. We talk about women when they graduate. There's a much better diversity in colleges and in institutions. But how many of those women aspire to become entrepreneurs is very, very limited, because there is still this mindset that you want women to be in safer roles, in safer career paths, which does not bring about a huge turmoil in their lives, in their families, and so on and so forth. So till that changes, you may do many other things. The rate of growth will remain a little sedate like it is. That said, what is really heartening is the number of women entrepreneurs that you see at different levels. You see the senior ones like Kiran, who's a very, very huge role model for women across in all industries, Kiran Mazumdar-Shah. And from there onwards, you see women at different levels, and a lot of very young women who have just entered into entrepreneurship. So there is a whole ecosystem that's developing. There is a large pipeline that's getting created, but there's lots more that can be done systemically and specifically in making it a normal part of women's careers, creating a lot more of women investors. Both of these, you create the supply and you create the demand, and that's when you'll see a real dramatic change.
Okay, so both of you have been risk takers. You've seen the journey. You've seen the grind. What does it take? And is it because women are still averse to risk? Is that a myth? What do we need to see more women take that plunge into entrepreneurship?
So, I mean, I think the way women are brought up in India, certainly from a conditioning standpoint, we're always pushed towards safety. We're pushed towards taking the easier, the safer path. It could be simple things like come home by 8 o'clock at night, take a certain role, take a certain job. If you invest this money and start something, if you get married, what will happen? When you have a child, what will happen? There's just too many doubts around us all the time. And our ecosystem is constantly putting doubts in our head about how we will manage, how we will balance, the great question of work-life balance, which is put to us every day. It infuses a lot of doubt in the system. So I think part of it is conditioning. And honestly, the biggest obstacle that I feel entrepreneurs who are female have compared to male entrepreneurs is this internal battle of how do you manage it? Do you have to choose? Can you do both? And then taking that risk. I think, entrepreneurship is about uncertainty, right? It's about every day not knowing exactly how things are going to work out. It's not predictable. There's no clear path ahead, and having the ability to face that uncertainty every day and finding your own coping mechanism to not let that anxiety overwhelm you, but be analytical and think through all the different scenarios. I mean, personally, for me, at the times in my career where I've been at a fork, what I've tried to do is to quantify the risk. Because often risk is this big bad wolf that sort of exists in our minds, and we don't know. We just say, oh, it's fear of the unknown, and we stay away from it. But by actually picking each scenario, what if this happened? What if that happened? What if the third scenario happened? And quantifying the risk in each of them really helped me make and choose my path ahead and not allow it to overwhelm me. So that's been my way of dealing with it.
Meena, you're also an active investor, as everyone knows. Do you feel that women are slightly more apprehensive to go out there and ask?
I'm going to talk about something very different, okay? But I'll link it back to this. I'll bridge it back. My husband and I, we have a foundation, and we are trying to help rural women become entrepreneurs. They are not afraid. You should see the guts that they have. And we've just been to, in Bastar, we went to the tribal villages where these young girls have become community healthcare entrepreneurs. We went to the Rajasthan, villages of Rajasthan. My God, they are so bold. They are not scared. I don't think women are scared. It's really all of us create that little bit of pressure on them saying, this is scary, don't do this, don't do. They are not scared. They figure out how to do it. Of course they were scared, but they are able to overcome this fear because I'll tell you why they overcome the fear, because they don't have a choice. When you're right at the bottom and you're pushed into probably penury versus here's an opportunity, I can bring up my family better and so on, you're willing to take the risk. Many of us in our slightly more comfortable lives are less able to take the risk. Perhaps the men are expected to take more risk and women are not. And we take the shield of that and sit under that. But really there is no reason why women cannot take the risk or do not have the ability or the courage to take the risk.
You both have built large companies, you're on the boards of companies, you're instrumental in the ecosystem. What is next in terms of driving impact, creating change, personally for you or on behalf of your businesses? What is going to be the next step, and what are you looking forward to the most?
So I think there is impact that can be made through institution building. There's impact that can be made personally. And I think for me, I'm starting to sort of separate the two. So obviously the impact that Metropolis has made on healthcare, on community, on patients' lives, on doctors, healthcare in general has been tremendous, and we'll continue to do that. And how do we keep making that larger every year, more substantial, more felt? And that's part of the institution part. I think as far as the personal part, I think similar to Meena and her husband, I think for me and my husband, and he's sitting right here, the purpose has always been to say, how can we have a larger impact on society beyond business? And I think it's about finding those ideas of passion, finding that purpose. It could be different things for different people. For me, it's always been about women. It's always been about supporting women in them achieving their own dreams. I started a platform for that, Empower Us, a few years ago, which I would like to take on to a much bigger way. So the idea is really, I'm very clear in my mind that I've been extremely privileged in life, extremely lucky, and only grateful for everything I've had a chance to do. And my role has to be to give back. Because I've spent 20 years taking, it's now time to give back. So really that's going to be the next chapter.
Amazing. Meena, last one.
So, one of the many, Ganesh and I have a bunch of companies ranging from large to small, and the one in healthcare that I was leading as the CEO for many years is trying to create a change in how healthcare is consumed in this country, not restricted to just clinics and big institutions, but also taking healthcare into people's homes. I think that journey is still yet begun. Of course, through COVID, we have seen huge amount of transformation in how people view this whole opportunity of getting healthcare closer to yourself. That journey is yet to be played out. So I'm still very, very excited on the professional front for that to really play out over the next many years. Healthcare is long term. You have to be doing that. The second part, of course, as I was mentioning earlier, is the giving back. And last 22 years I've been an entrepreneur. Ganesh has been an entrepreneur for 30 plus years. I mean, if I can't create another many thousand entrepreneurs at the ground level, what am I here for? I have to do that. There's no other choice.
That's
It's there for
fantastic.
me to do.
Fantastic. Super inspiring, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Another big round of applause, please. Thank you.